When I think about Lucifer, it's Gino. I close my eyes and I see him. You know what? Him. I'm gonna him over, you know?
Jasmine walked into her divorce battle believing Gino's money was the last place where she could truly hurt him. After everything she says, he put her through the rejection, the humiliation, the immigration accusations, and years of financial conflict. She believed this was her chance to finally make him feel powerless. But the situation completely reversed. Instead of walking away with part of Gino's money, the reported divorce settlement required Jasmine to pay Gino $20,000. That is the shocking headline. But honestly, that is not even the deepest part of this story. The bigger issue is that Jasmine and Gino's marriage did not truly end when they separated. It simply changed form. The romance disappeared, the trust collapsed, and the affection was gone. But they remained connected through anger, court hearings, money, accusations, and the constant need to prove who had suffered more. And while Jasmine was focused on defeating Gino, Matt was standing beside her, wondering why the woman building a new family with him was willing to spend years fighting her old husband. So was Jasmine protecting her legal rights, or was revenge controlling her decisions? Was Gino honestly offering a clean ending, or was he trying to protect assets he had already shown concern about dividing? Did Jasmine lose because she became too emotional, or are viewers turning a complicated divorce into a simple karma story? Most importantly, what happens when two people no longer love each other, but still cannot stop trying to hurt each other? Because this was never only about $20,000, it was about power. At the beginning of the episode, Jasmine appears nervous about the upcoming hearing. She says she does not know what Gino might ask for, and she is clearly expecting another attack. From her perspective, that fear is not coming from nowhere. She says Gino accused her of immigration fraud, reported her to immigration, and repeatedly tried to damage her reputation. Whether viewers believe every detail of Jasmine's version or not, she sees Gino as someone who still has the power to threaten her future. But then something unexpected happens. Gino's side reportedly proposes a clean financial separation. Jasmine keeps what belongs to her, Gino keeps what belongs to him, and both finally end the marriage. For Matt, that sounds like freedom. For Jasmine, it sounds like Gino escaping without consequences. That difference is where everything begins to fall apart. Matt is thinking about their future. Jasmine is thinking about everything that happened in the past. Matt wants the marriage legally finished so their current family can move forward. Jasmine wants the divorce result to reflect what she believes she suffered inside that marriage. She does not only want separation, she wants accountability. Emotionally, I can understand that. Many people leave toxic relationships feeling angry because the legal ending looks too simple compared with the emotional damage. One signature cannot erase years of resentment. A judge cannot calculate loneliness, humiliation, rejection, or lost time. So when Jasmine hears that Gino wants each person to keep their own assets, she does not hear fairness. She hears Gino saying, "I owe you nothing." But here is the contradiction that damages Jasmine's position. She repeatedly says she wants the nightmare finished. She says she is tired of Gino. She says she wants peace. But when the fastest path toward peace appears, she rejects it because peace would allow Gino to leave without being punished. That means peace is not her first priority. Winning is. There is nothing automatically unreasonable about requesting financial statements during a divorce. Let us be clear about that. If two people were legally married, financial disclosure can be completely normal. Jasmine's attorney wanting to understand Gino's income, investments, and marital assets does not automatically make Jasmine greedy. The problem is that Jasmine openly connects the financial investigation to revenge. She essentially admits that money is where Gino is most sensitive, and that going after his finances is the best way to hurt him. That statement changes how viewers interpret everything. Instead of hearing, "I want to understand what marital property exists," viewers hear, "I want to find his weak point." Instead of looking strategic, Jasmine starts looking emotional. And once she admits revenge is part of her motivation, even reasonable financial questions begin to look personal. But Gino is not completely innocent when it comes to mixing money with emotion. He had previously discussed wanting to consider the stock market before finalizing the divorce because he was worried about dividing assets when investments were performing well. Think about that. Gino cannot publicly show concern about market timing and then act surprised when Jasmine becomes suspicious about what he might be protecting. That does not mean Jasmine deserves everything he owns. It does not mean she is entitled to assets he had before the marriage. But it does mean her questions did not appear from nowhere. Both of them turned money into a weapon. Gino viewed financial timing as protection. Jasmine viewed financial discovery as punishment. Different methods, same battlefield. To understand why Jasmine became so emotionally invested, we have to look at the power dynamic that existed throughout their relationship. When Jasmine arrived in the United States, Gino had more practical control. He had the home. He had greater financial stability. He understood the system. He had more influence over transportation, paperwork, and the environment Jasmine was entering. That imbalance created resentment. Jasmine did not always appear to feel like an equal partner entering a shared life. She often appeared to feel like someone being added to Gino's life under his conditions. Now, Gino would probably argue that he was being careful. He might say Jasmine's spending made him nervous. He might say he had supported her financially for years. He might say he needed boundaries because he feared being used. Those concerns are not automatically invalid, but the way financial boundaries are communicated matters. There is a difference between creating a budget and making your partner feel that every need requires your permission. There is a difference between financial caution and financial control. Throughout their relationship, money represented much more than money. For Jasmine, spending could become proof that Gino valued her. For Gino, saving and protecting money could become proof that he was not being exploited. That created a terrible cycle. The more Gino worried Jasmine wanted his money, the tighter he became. The tighter he became, the more Jasmine felt rejected and powerless. The more powerless she felt, the more dramatically she demanded proof of love. The more dramatically she demanded, the more Gino believed his fears were justified. Both then used the other person's reaction as evidence that they were right. That same cycle entered the divorce. Gino wanted to protect what he believed was his. Jasmine viewed that protection as another attempt to deny her value. So when the attorney requested financial information, Jasmine did not simply see documents. She saw the possibility of finally opening a door that Gino had kept closed throughout their marriage. She wanted to know what he earned. She wanted to know what investments existed. She wanted proof that she had not imagined the financial imbalance. Sometimes people fight over money because they need money. Other times they fight over money because uncovering something would validate every suspicion they had during the relationship. This is where Matt becomes one of the most important people in the story. He is not emotionally invested in proving Gino wrong. He does not need a judge to validate Jasmine's pain. He simply wants the marriage over. When Jasmine explains that she wants to pursue Gino's finances and may be willing to fight for years, Matt looks at the situation from a completely different position. To Jasmine, continuing the case means refusing to let Gino win. To Matt, continuing the case means allowing Gino to remain part of their family. That is the real conflict between Jasmine and Matt. It is not only about money, it is about emotional priority. Matt wants to know whether Jasmine cares more about building a peaceful future with him or defeating the man she says she no longer wants. And his question is fair. Negative emotions can keep an ex-partner emotionally present just as strongly as love can. You do not have to want someone back to remain attached to them. You can be attached through anger. You can be attached through resentment. You can be attached through the need for an apology. You can be attached through the fantasy of watching them lose. That is why Matt begins questioning whether Jasmine truly wants to let Gino go. He does not necessarily mean she wants Gino romantically. He means Gino still has too much access to her emotions. Every move Gino makes gets a reaction. Every legal decision becomes personal. Every financial question becomes symbolic. Every temporary victory gives Jasmine an emotional high. That is not indifference. Indifference is not being willing to spend years teaching your ex-husband a lesson. When the judge allows further financial disclosure, Jasmine celebrates as if she has already won the entire war. She is not only relieved that the legal process is moving, she is excited because she believes she has gained power over Gino. But temporary victories can be dangerous when they create false confidence. Jasmine sees the decision and believes the momentum is on her side. Matt sees the same decision and imagines months or years of more chaos. Jasmine measures success by whether Gino feels pressure. Matt measures success by whether Gino disappears from their lives. And then Jasmine makes one of her coldest arguments. When Matt complains about being trapped inside the consequences of her marriage, Jasmine reminds him that he knowingly became involved with a married woman. Technically, she has a point. Matt did know the situation was complicated. He did not meet Jasmine after a clean divorce. He became involved while the marriage was unresolved, the emotions were unstable, and the boundaries were confusing. So he cannot pretend that Gino's presence appeared unexpectedly. But being technically correct does not mean Jasmine is emotionally fair. Matt, knowing the situation was complicated, does not give Jasmine unlimited permission to keep it complicated forever. He may have accepted a temporary problem. That does not mean he agreed to build his entire future around an endless war. Jasmine uses Matt's original choice to dismiss his current feelings. Instead of hearing, "This situation is hurting me," she responds with, "You knew what you signed up for." That is not healthy communication. It prevents Jasmine from taking responsibility for how her current decisions affect the person standing beside her now. Matt is not a completely innocent outsider either. He entered Jasmine's life when she was emotionally vulnerable, deeply unhappy, and still legally connected to Gino. He became the person who listened to her pain. He became the person who gave her attention when she felt rejected. He became the person she compared favorably with her husband. That created a rescuer dynamic. At first, being the rescuer can feel powerful. You feel needed. You believe you are showing someone what healthier love looks like. But later, the rescuer can become resentful. Matt wanted Jasmine without Gino. Instead, he received Jasmine carrying years of unresolved conflict with Gino. The reported $20,000 result becomes more than a financial settlement. It becomes a symbol. Jasmine wanted to investigate Gino's money. Instead, she became the person required to pay him. We should not pretend we know every private detail of the agreement. We do not know every asset calculation, every negotiation, or every financial document exchanged. A divorce settlement is not a morality award. It does not automatically declare one person innocent and the other guilty. But public perception does not operate with that level of nuance. The audience sees Jasmine saying she wants revenge. Then the audience sees Jasmine paying Gino. That sequence looks like instant karma. Jasmine can say $20,000 is not a lot for her. She can say she earns enough to cover it easily. She can say the payment proves she was never after Gino's money. She may genuinely be able to afford it. But that does not erase the fact that the outcome appears opposite to what she wanted during the episode. And emotionally, that probably stings. Imagine believing you are about to expose someone's hidden finances, only to end up making monthly payments to that person. Even if the amount does not destroy Jasmine financially, the symbolism is brutal. But the bigger question is whether she learned anything from it. Did she realize emotional revenge can be expensive? Did she understand that hurting Gino was not worth extending the conflict? Did she recognize why Matt was so frustrated? Or did she simply change the public narrative and claim that the outcome never mattered? One of Jasmine's strongest behavioral patterns is controlling the meaning of an event after she loses control of the event itself. When she wins, the victory proves she was right. When she loses, the loss does not matter. When someone criticizes her, they do not know the full story. When Matt feels hurt, he knew what he signed up for. There is almost always an explanation that protects Jasmine from sitting fully inside discomfort. To be fair, Gino does something similar. When he is accused of withholding affection, he points toward Jasmine's behavior. When he is accused of financial control, he points toward her spending. When he is accused of delaying the divorce, he talks about protecting his money. When he is accused of publicly humiliating Jasmine, he explains what he believes she did first. Both people justify their actions by beginning the story at the moment the other person hurt them. Neither wants to begin with their own behavior. Jasmine says, "I reacted because Gino mistreated me." Gino says, "I reacted because Jasmine betrayed me." Then Jasmine says his reaction proves her original point. Gino says her reaction proves his original point. And around they go. The divorce was supposed to end that cycle. Instead, the court case became another place for the cycle to continue. This is why calling the settlement simple karma misses part of the story. Yes, Jasmine openly allowed revenge to influence her thinking. But Gino also contributed to years of mistrust, financial tension, emotional withdrawal, and suspicion. Jasmine's louder personality makes her mistakes easier to see. Gino's quieter style can make him look more reasonable. But quiet behavior is not always healthy behavior. Avoidance can be controlling. Withholding communication can be punishing. Emotional withdrawal can create as much instability as shouting. Jasmine and Gino did not destroy their relationship through one dramatic event. They destroyed it slowly by repeatedly making each other feel unsafe. The online reaction is extremely divided, although the loudest response focuses on the irony of Jasmine paying Gino. These fans believe Jasmine allowed anger to override common sense. They point to Gino's clean offer, Matt's warnings, and Jasmine's own statements about wanting revenge. From their perspective, she had an easy exit available, rejected it because she wanted more, and ended up paying the person she wanted to punish. There is truth inside that interpretation. Even if requesting financial disclosure was reasonable, Jasmine's revenge motive made it difficult for her to calmly judge the risks. These viewers remember the years of financial arguments, lack of affection, accusations, and the way Jasmine often felt dependent on him. They do not believe Gino should suddenly be presented as an innocent victim simply because Jasmine became more openly aggressive. Many viewers are saying that both Jasmine and Gino became addicted to the conflict. This may be the most balanced interpretation. They see two people who repeatedly created situations where trust became impossible. Gino looked for signs Jasmine wanted money or another man. Jasmine looked for signs Gino did not desire, value, or respect her. Both collected evidence against each other instead of building trust. Some fans feel Matt is the only person prioritizing peace. They sympathize with him because he is raising a child with Jasmine while she remains emotionally focused on fighting Gino. They hear Matt saying he may eventually walk away, and they believe he is finally reaching a healthy limit. Other fans are far less sympathetic. They argue that Matt knowingly entered a relationship with a married woman during an unstable arrangement. He knew the situation was unresolved, so he should not act surprised that Gino remained part of the story. Both sides have a point. Matt accepted the risk. But accepting risk does not mean giving up the right to create boundaries later. People are allowed to change what they can tolerate. Matt may have believed the divorce would happen quickly. He may have believed Jasmine would emotionally move toward their new family. His mistake was probably believing physical separation meant emotional separation. It did not. Some fans also believe Jasmine is still in love with Gino. I think that conclusion is too simple. Romantic love is not the only explanation for obsession. Jasmine may not want Gino back. She may want him defeated. She may want him to admit she mattered. She may want public proof that he was wrong. She may want him to experience the powerlessness she felt. That is still emotional attachment, but it is not necessarily romantic desire. However, the difference does not comfort Matt. Whether Jasmine is fighting because she loves Gino or hates him, Gino still receives her attention. That is what damages the current relationship. Another online debate centers on Jasmine's attorney. Some fans feel she received terrible advice because she was told she had nothing to lose. But she clearly had several things to lose: time, legal fees, peace, emotional energy, stability with Matt, and eventually, money. Still, viewers do not have the complete legal file. We do not know what private negotiations happened or what other parts of the agreement benefited either side. The more reasonable criticism is not necessarily that the attorney failed. It is that Jasmine appeared unable to separate legal strategy from emotional revenge. The deepest pattern in Jasmine and Gino's relationship is that conflict became their main form of intimacy. When they were calm, they often appeared disconnected. Gino withdrew. Jasmine became anxious. Jasmine demanded reassurance. Gino became more uncomfortable. Then a major argument happened. Suddenly they were fully engaged with each other. They were shouting, crying, accusing, defending, threatening, or temporarily reconciling. The conflict created emotional intensity when normal closeness was failing. Jasmine often seemed to need visible proof that Gino cared. If he became jealous, it proved she mattered. If he fought for the relationship, it proved he cared. If he spent money, it proved commitment. Gino seemed to need proof that Jasmine was not using him. If she accepted limits, it proved she did not only want money. If she stopped seeking outside attention, it proved loyalty. If she agreed with his version, it proved honesty. Neither could provide the exact proof the other demanded, because those demands were built from fear. Jasmine's fear was, I am not truly loved. Gino's fear was, I am being used. Every disagreement activated those fears. By the time the divorce began, the same pattern was fully established. Gino's desire to protect assets matched his fear of exploitation. Jasmine's desire to access those assets matched her fear of being undervalued and controlled. The court case gave them a new language for the same old argument. The legal divorce may be finished, but these emotional habits can follow both of them. Gino may enter another relationship with even stronger financial suspicion. He may believe protecting himself requires emotional distance, but emotional distance was part of what destroyed his marriage. Jasmine may enter her future believing she must always fight aggressively or she will be controlled. She may view compromise as surrender. She may interpret boundaries as rejection. She may continue turning private pain into public confrontation, because public confrontation gives her immediate validation. That could become a serious problem with Matt. Now that Jasmine is legally single, Matt may expect their relationship to move forward quickly. He may believe the biggest obstacle has finally been removed. But Jasmine may not want another marriage immediately. After her experience with Gino, she may feel that legal commitment creates too much vulnerability. That could become their next major conflict. Matt may say, I waited for you to become legally free. Why are you still uncertain about me? Jasmine may say, after everything I experienced, why are you pressuring me? Neither position would be completely unreasonable, but the way they communicate will determine whether this becomes a mature conversation or another public explosion. The divorce also removes their easiest excuse. For a long time, Jasmine and Matt could blame stress on Gino, the court process, and the unresolved marriage. Now they must face their own compatibility. Do they communicate well when Gino is not the topic? Do they agree about marriage? Do they agree about finances? Can Matt set boundaries without Jasmine seeing control? Can Jasmine express pain without dismissing Matt's feelings? Can they build a relationship identity that is not based on Matt being better than Gino? That last question may decide everything. Matt and Jasmine originally connected partly through Jasmine's pain. Matt became the man who listened. He became the man who supported her. He became the man who seemed different from Gino. But comparison cannot sustain a family forever. Matt needs to be valued for who he is, not only because he is not Gino. Jasmine needs to feel secure without demanding constant proof that Matt will never act like Gino. Otherwise, Gino remains a ghost inside their relationship even after the divorce. Every time Matt sets a boundary, Jasmine may accuse him of acting like Gino. Every time Jasmine becomes dramatic, Matt may think he is experiencing the same chaos Gino described. The paperwork removes Gino from Jasmine's legal life. Only emotional healing can remove Gino from the relationship pattern. And that is the real lesson of this entire story. Jasmine was not wrong simply for requesting financial transparency. She crossed the line when making Gino suffer became more important than ending the conflict peacefully. Gino was not wrong simply for wanting to protect his assets. But protecting money does not erase his role in creating years of emotional insecurity and mistrust. Matt was not wrong for wanting peace, but he cannot completely ignore the fact that he knowingly entered a complicated situation. Every person in this story has legitimate feelings. Every person also has contradictions they would prefer viewers to ignore. Jasmine says she wants freedom, but repeatedly chooses emotional engagement. Gino says he wants protection, but his protective behavior often creates more mistrust. Matt says he understood the situation, but now appears shocked by the full consequences. The $20,000 is not the entire tragedy. The real tragedy is how much life Jasmine and Gino gave to a relationship that had already stopped working. They spent years arguing over who was more hurt, who lied first, who deserved sympathy, and who should be punished. At some point, the fight became more important than the peace both claimed to want. The court could end their marriage. It could divide property. It could establish financial payments, but it could not force them to emotionally let go. That decision still belongs to Jasmine and Gino. And now Jasmine faces a much harder test than defeating her ex-husband. She has to prove that she can build a peaceful future that is no longer organized around him. So what do you think? Was Jasmine right to investigate Gino's finances, or did she cross the line when revenge became more important than finally ending the marriage?